Good morning, everybody. Today we'll see the next part of larynx. In first lecture of larynx, we have seen what are the cartilages of larynx, what is the larynx. It is a part of a respiratory system. It is also called as a voice box. In man, you have seen that there is speech is well developed in man, and this voice box, that is a larynx, which is produces various sounds and that are called as a voice, and it is well developed in human being. Its capability is greatly increased by a large vocalization area in the motor cortex, in the lower part of motor cortex, which is controlled by this cerebral cortex. Okay, so we will see the next part of larynx. In that we have seen this muscles of larynx. Up till now we have seen the cartilages of larynx, cavity of larynx. Now we will see the muscles of larynx. Then what are the movements of vocal folds, blood supply, nerve supply, lymphatic drainage, and applied anatomy, and in short mechanism of a speech. So we have seen this part, that is the cavity of larynx, which extends from this laryngeal inlet up to the lower border of a cricoid cartilage or first tracheal ring. So that is the laryngeal cavity. Again, this laryngeal cavity, it is divided into, one is the first, there is a inlet of larynx which is formed anteriorly by this upper border of epiglottis. Then ariepiglottic folds are there which are attached to the apex of arytenoid cartilage, and it includes these two cartilages, that is the cuneiform and corniculate. Then this is the upper part which is lined by one membrane that is called as a quadrate membrane, and lower edge of this quadrate membrane, that is called as a vestibular fold, and this is called as a vestibule of a larynx. The space between these two vestibular fold is called as a rima vestibulum. Then there is a absence of this vocal membrane as well as quadrate membrane, and this is called as a sinus of larynx, or it is also called as sinus of Morgagni or ventricle of larynx. If you go inferiorly, you can see that there are the vocal folds, which is nothing but another membrane is there in the lower part of a larynx, that is called a cricovocal membrane. The upper edge of this membrane, it is thickened to form this vocal fold, and the space between these two vocal fold is called as a rima glottidis. So this is the vestibule or supraglottic part of a larynx. This is the rima vestibuli, this is the rima glottidis, and this portion just below the vocal fold is the infraglottic part of a larynx. So this is a sagittal view of this larynx. This is the epiglottis, then this is the hyoid bone, this is the hyoepiglottic ligament, this is thyroid cartilage, then cricoid lamina, arch of cricoid cartilage, this is a cornicular arytenoid cartilage, this is nothing but a quadrate membrane, and this is the vestibular fold, this is a conus elasticus or cricovocal membrane, and these are the vocal fold. Okay, so this is a cavity of larynx in sagittal section. We have seen this is the inlet of larynx, how it is formed by this upper border of epiglottis and ariepiglottic fold. Posteriorly, it is limited by a mucous membrane which is present between these two arytenoid cartilage. Okay, and this vocal ariepiglottic fold, that consists of two paired cartilages, that is the corniculate and cuneiform cartilage. Again, after removing this cartilage and all this thing, you can see this is the laryngeal inlet. Then this is the vestibule of larynx. This is the rima vestibuli. This is a ventricle of larynx, and there is a one extension that is called a saccule of larynx, and this is a rima glottidis, and this one is the infraglottic part of this larynx or laryngeal cavity. So rima vestibuli, that is the upper part, just above this vestibular fold, that will be allow the inspired air, okay, and that will prevent the expiration. So it is called as a exit wall. This is called as a exit wall. Okay, then see that expired air is prevented by approximation of this vestibular port. So that if there is a exit wall is there, it will helpful in the increasing in the intra-abdominal pressure, okay, which helps in the acts like defecation, parturition, micturition. So these are the rima vestibula and these are the vestibular fold. This is the rima glottidis, that is the vocal folds. It allows the expired air out, but it will not allow this inspired. So it is an entry wall. It prevents the air in the inspiration. Okay, that is called as the entry wall. That is the rima vestibular vocal folds. This is about these functions of this rima vestibula and rima glottidis or vocal fold and vestibular fold. Now we will see about the today's lecture, that is the muscles of larynx. There are few muscles which are attached to this laryngeal cartilage and other parts of body that are called as a extrinsic muscles, which will help in the elevation and depression of a larynx. Then next is the intrinsic muscles. In that intrinsic muscle, cricothyroid muscle, posterior cricoarytenoid muscle, lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, transverse arytenoid muscle, oblique arytenoid muscle, epiglotticus, thyroarytenoides and thyroepiglotticus and vocalis. So these muscles we have seen when we have seen these cartilages of larynx. In extrinsic muscle, one is the thyroid, then sternohyoid, sternothyroid, then inferior constrictor of a pharynx, stylopharyngeus and palatopharynx. So these are the extrinsic muscles which you have seen, which are attached to this thyroid cartilage as well as cricoid cartilages. Okay. So these are the extrinsic muscles. That is, this is the digastric muscle. Okay. Then this one is again divided into elevators which are present above, that will, when they contract, they pull the larynx upward. Okay. So that are called as elevators of a larynx. So that is the digastric. Then this is the mylohyoid and also a geniohyoid muscle. Then the muscles which arising from this styloid process, that is the longitudinal muscles of a pharynx which are attached to this posterior border of a thyroid cartilage, that is the stylopharyngeus, then also salpingopharyngeus and palatopharyngeus. These muscles when contract, they pull the larynx upward, means they are elevators of a larynx. Then the muscles which are attached to this thyroid cartilage and below this sternum or scapula, that are called as a depressor of a larynx. So one is a sternothyroid and sternohyoid, that will depresses the larynx. Then next is this is a omohyoid. This is a omohyoid where it is attached to, superiorly it is attached to the hyoid bone and inferiorly it is attached to the scapula. So these muscles are depressor, that are called as extrinsic muscles of a larynx. Now we will see intrinsic muscle one by one. Just we revise it. Okay. So first is the cricothyroid muscle. So this is the cricothyroid muscle. This is the only muscle which is present externally in the larynx. Okay. So this is the cricothyroid muscle which arises from this arch of cricoid cartilage. That is the lateral surface of arch of cricoid cartilage. It is inserted into the lower border of thyroid cartilage. Again, it is having two parts. Vertical part, that is the pars recta, and one is the oblique part which will go up to this inferior corner of a thyroid cartilage. Okay, so that is the pars obliqua. So this is a cricothyroid muscle. It is present only externally and it causes the tension in the vocal fold and it is supplied by external laryngeal. Now, all the muscles of larynx are supplied by laryngeal plus or internal laryngeal except cricothyroid, which is supplied by the external laryngeal. Now you may have a MCQ over it. Then next muscle is a lateral cricoarytenoid. So this one is a lateral cricoarytenoid. We have seen that this anterior arch of atlas is there. It is having upper lip, upper border and lower border. And this upper border is having two lips, outer lip and inner lip. Inner lip gives attachment to the cricovocal membrane and outer lip gives attachment to this muscle that is called as a lateral, arising from this cricoid cartilage, means lateral crico going towards this muscular process of arytenoid cartilage. That is a lateral cricoarytenoid muscle which is inserted on the anterior aspect or anterior part of this muscular process of arytenoid cartilage. So this is the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. So when this muscle contract, it will adduct this vocal fold. So it is the main adductor of a vocal fold. Okay. So the muscles which acts on these arytenoid cartilages, which is having two processes, that is a muscular process and vocal process. On the vocal process, vocal ligament is or vocal fold is attached, and on muscular process it gives attachment to the muscles, that is the lateral cricoarytenoid anteriorly and posterior cricoarytenoid posteriorly. The muscle which causes the lateral rotation or moves this muscular process laterally, that moves this vocal ligament medially. Okay, and opposite that, the muscle which moves this muscular process medially, it will move this vocal process laterally, means abduction of vocal fold will occur. So here lateral cricoarytenoid causes the adduction of vocal fold. Got it? Then other muscles are aryepiglotticus. This is present in this aryepiglottic fold, which is attached to this anterolateral surface of this arytenoid cartilage and extend up to this epiglottis, that is aryepiglotticus muscle. When it contract, it elevates this fold of, that is a quadrate membrane or aryepiglottic fold towards the epiglottis, and it closes the laryngeal inlet. Okay, so this is a aryepiglotticus muscle. Then this is the vocalis muscle, which is present in the vocal fold, which will causes the strengthening or relaxation of this vocal cord. Okay, then this muscle that is arising from this thyroid cartilage and going towards the epiglottis, it is also present in this quadrate membrane or vestibular fold. So this is the aryepiglotticus. When this muscle get contract, it will open the inlet of larynx. This will close the inlet of larynx. So these are the another muscles of larynx: aryepiglotticus, vocalis and thyroepiglotticus. Then next muscles, that is the posterior cricoarytenoid, which is attached to this or originated from the posterior surface of a lamina of a cricoid cartilage, goes upward and it is inserted on the posterior aspect of a muscular process of this arytenoid cartilage. Okay, so these are the two posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. When this muscle contract, it moves this muscular process laterally. Okay, it moves muscular process laterally or posteriorly. So it will move this vocal fold, or it is a main abductor of a vocal fold, that is a posterior cricoarytenoid. You may have MCQ over it also. That is the abductor of a vocal fold is posterior cricoarytenoid. It is also called as a life-saving muscle of a larynx or safety muscle of a larynx. This muscle which arises from one posterior surface of one arytenoid cartilage going towards the posterior surface of another arytenoid cartilage, that is the transversus arytenoides muscle. Then from this muscular process towards the apex of opposite arytenoid cartilage, this is the obliquus arytenoides muscle, and you can see that there is from the apex towards this epiglottis, lateral border of epiglottis, that is the aryepiglotticus muscle. So these are the various muscles of intrinsic muscles of a larynx. So you have seen this cross section. This is a rima glottidis, which is anteriorly it is intermembranous, which is present between these two vocal folds, and posteriorly it is intercartilaginous, that is posterior 2/3 is the intercartilaginous, which is present between this vocal process, and it is having shape like this, pentagonal shape is there. And these are the muscles which are attached to this anterolateral surface. These are the muscles which are attached to the muscular process. This is the transversus arytenoides muscle, and this one is the oblique arytenoid. So these are the muscles which are attached to this angle of or inner surface of a thyroid cartilage. Okay, this muscle is a thyroepiglotticus muscle. So these are the muscles. Then next is the intrinsic muscles, in short, acting on the laryngeal inlet. That is the narrowing, that is the oblique arytenoid muscle. This one is the oblique arytenoid muscle, and aryepiglottic muscle, and aryepiglottic muscle which will be narrow the laryngeal inlet or closes the laryngeal inlet. Widening is by the thyroepiglotticus muscle. Then acting on a vocal cords. vocal cords, that is the sphincteric action, abduction and adduction. Adduction is by the lateral cricoarytenoid and transverse arytenoid muscle. Okay, and abduction is by the posterior cricoarytenoid. Adduction by lateral and abduction by posterior cricoarytenoid. Then change in the length and the tension of this vocal cord, that is elongation and tension by this cricothyroid muscle, which is present externally, and shortening and relaxation by thyroarytenoid and vocalis muscle. So these are the actions of intrinsic muscles in short. So now we have seen this remaglottis, which is present between this thyroid lamina and this arytenoid cartilage. Anterior part is the intermembranous, posterior part is the intercartilaginous part. So what are the different shapes during this quiet breathing of a remaglottis? In quiet breathing, this intramembranous part, it is a triangular. Okay, and this intercartilaginous part is a quadrangular. So this is shape in quiet breathing of a remaglottis. Then during phonation, what happened? During phonation or of a speech, glottis is reduced to a chink. Okay, it is reduced to a chink by the adduction of a vocal cord. So by adduction of a vocal cord. Then during forced inspiration, both the parts of rima are triangular in shape. Okay, so these are the both parts are triangular in shape. That is a lozenge shape structure is there in full where the vocal folds are fully abducted. Okay. Then next is the during whispering, it is an inverted funnel shaped. Okay. So during whispering, intermembranous part, due to approximation of this vocal fold, it is reduced and intercartilaginous part will be widened. So this is a inverted funnel shaped structure is there of shape of a remaglottis. So these are the various during quiet breathing, during speech, then during expiration and during this whispering. Okay. Then what are the movements of vocal cord? So movements are, that is the abduction, then adduction, and then tension in the vocal cord and relaxation of vocal cord. See that this is the abduction, means both vocal cords moves apart. Okay, and adduction, that will move towards each other. When they move more closer, that will entry wall is closed. Okay, so and midway between that is the cadaveric position of vocal cord. Okay, so abduction, that is caused, that is they move apart, that is caused by the posterior cricoarytenoid. Adduction by the lateral cricoarytenoid and transverse arytenoid. Then tension in the vocal cord, that is due to this cricothyroid and vocalis muscle, and relaxation of vocal cord by thyroarytenoid and vocalis muscle. So this is the, yes, what is that? Abduction of vocal cord. So this muscular process will move medially. Okay, this is a contraction of this posterior cricoarytenoid. It moves this process medially, so it will move the vocal process laterally, and that will causes the abduction. Okay, so posterior cricoarytenoid abduction. Opposite to that, there is a lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. It moves muscular process laterally, so it will move this vocal process medially. So that is the adduction, that is caused by the lateral cricoarytenoid and arytenoid transversus muscle. Then tension in the vocal cord, again there are two views, that is a classical view and Naegis view. In that, see that this, there is a tilting when this muscle get contracted, that is a cricothyroid muscle. There will be a movement of this arytenoid cartilage backward and this cricoid cartilage upward, and it will pull this vocal cord. So it will tense this vocal cord. Vocal process will go backward. Okay, so this is a tension in the vocal fold or vocal cord that is produced by this cricothyroid and vocalis muscle. And this is another view, that is the Naegis view, in which this thyroid lamina will be moves forward. Here this vocal process or thyroid arytenoid cartilage moves backwards. This is a classical view and this one is the Naegis view. Just remember the tension of vocal cord by the cricothyroid muscle and relaxation by the thyroarytenoid and vocalis muscle. So these are the various muscles which are attached to this arytenoid cartilage, and what is that? Force of movement or direction of a movement is there. Okay, so these are the muscles and this is the direction of a pull of that muscle. Okay, which we have seen just now. Then next is the blood supply. It is supplied by superior laryngeal artery and inferior laryngeal artery. Then next is the venous drainage. What is the venous drainage of this? It is drain into the superior laryngeal vein and inferior laryngeal vein. So this is a drain into the superior, along with the artery, veins are there that will be drained into the superior thyroid vein. Then it will also drain into the inferior thyroid vein, which will drain into the brachiocephalic vein. Okay, and also there is a middle thyroid vein which will directly open into this jugular vein. Okay, so this is the venous drainage of this larynx. Then nerve supply. The superior laryngeal nerve, it is divided into internal laryngeal nerve, which is sensory to the larynx just above the vocal fold. Then external laryngeal nerve, which is motor to the cricothyroid muscle. Then recurrent laryngeal nerve, it is sensory to the larynx below the vocal fold. Okay, and motor to all the muscles, other muscles of a larynx. So this is the nerve supply of a larynx. So this is superior laryngeal nerve. It divides into internal and external. Internal is a sensory and external is a motor. Then recurrent laryngeal nerve gives us sensory below the vocal fold and motor to all intrinsic muscles of a larynx. Then this is the lymphatic drainage. It drains into the deep cervical lymph node. Then also this pretracheal group of a lymph node, as well as jugulo-digastric group of a lymph node. Then lastly, the applied anatomy of larynx, visualization of larynx with the help of one instrument that is called a scope, that is called as a laryngoscopy. Okay, so this is a laryngoscopic view of a larynx. You can see again this is aryepiglottic fold, this is epiglottis. Okay, these are the vocal folds, that is a false vocal folds and true vocal folds, or vestibular fold and vocal fold, and these are the tracheal cartilages or tracheal rings. So this is a laryngoscopic view of a larynx. So again, in laryngoscopy there are direct laryngoscopy and indirect laryngoscopy. In indirect laryngoscopy you can see the mirror image. Then when there is any obstruction in the larynx, you can do this cricothyroidotomy. In cricothyroidotomy, cricothyroid membrane is punctured or cut, and that is called as a cricothyroidotomy to prevent the suffocation or obstruction of the larynx. Then other treatment of this obstruction in the larynx, you can do this tracheostomy or make a hole in this trachea for this, to prevent this obstruction. Usually you can do this tracheostomic cut between the first, second or second and third tracheal cartilages. So you can write this in applied anatomy of larynx. Then you can write down about this laryngitis, that is the inflammation of larynx, laryngeal edema, swelling in the mucous membrane or laryngeal membrane, that is called a laryngeal edema, which will may suffocate or causes the difficulty in breathing. Then misuse of voice, overuse of voice, which will produce a nodule on this vocal cord, that is called as a, usually it occurs in the singers as well as teachers. So this is also called as singer's nodule or teacher's nodules. Then next you can add a external examination of larynx. For external examination, you have to stand just behind this person, ask the patient to sit and just stand behind it, ask him to flex his neck, and you can palpate this all the laryngeal cartilage, or you can palpate or you can see for this whether there is any lymph node enlargement for this metastasis or not. The next is the laryngeal tumor. This laryngeal tumor may causes the referred pain in ear, because larynx is supplied by this branches of vagus nerve, and this ear is also, root of ear is also supplied by this vagus nerve, auricular branch of vagus nerve. So when there is a laryngeal pain, it is referred to a ear. Okay. Then foreign body, when there is a, actually this larynx will prevent the entry of this foreign body, but when this will be entered into the larynx, it will damage the internal laryngeal nerve. Okay, damage to the external laryngeal nerve causes the weakness of a phonation. When there is a unilateral recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy is there, it will be mainly happen in the mediastinal tumor. Okay, so in mediastinal tumor you have seen that there is a different course of right and left recurrent laryngeal nerve. So it will causes the palsy, that is a unilateral recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy, but it is compensated by the another vocal fold. Then bilateral recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy, it will produces a cadaveric position of vocal cord, means midway between the abduction and adduction. So you can add this in the applied anatomy of a larynx. Then this is the small lump in the fold, okay, within this epiglottic fold. Then this is a laryngeal carcinoma, cauliflower like growth you can see, and see that these are the positions of the vocal cord. So this is the on inspiration, this is abnormal position in inspiration. Okay, this is a normal, this is on phonation, and when there is a paralysis of a vocal cord, that is a abnormal position of this vocal cord. Got it? So just write about this in applied anatomy of a larynx. Then we will see, you may cover it in physiology, that is the mechanism of a speech. It is having 4 stages. Larynx acts as a voice box. So during this expiration or inspiration, so it produces a voice only in the expiratory phase. Okay, voice is produced only in a expiratory phase. You have seen it is made up of various cartilages, and this lumen, it will be patent because there will be a in and out passage of this air through this larynx. So it should be a patent. So there are 4 stages, that is the expired air, which will causes or which will produces the loudness or intensity, which depends upon the force of expired air. Then next is the vibrators, that is shows vibrator means that is the vibration of vocal folds, which will be produce a pitch of voice, which will determine the pitch of voice. Loudness by the expired air, force of expired air. Vibration or vibrators produces or determines the pitch of voice. Vowels are produced inside this larynx. Okay. Then resonators. This resonators means nothing but a column of air just above the vocal fold up to the nostril. Okay. The quality of sound will be depend upon this resonator. Then articulators, that is stop the exhaled air, and it will produces various consonants, that is the intrinsic muscles of tongue, lip, as well as articulation of a tongue with the tongue, with the teeth, with the lip. It will produces various consonants. There are again different types of a consonant, that is a labial consonant, then dentine consonants, then lingual consonants and palatal consonants. You will see detail about it in physiology. Okay. So this is in short what is the expired air, loudness, vibrators, pitch of voice, resonators, quality of sound, and articulators that will produce the sound. So actually vowels are produced inside this larynx. So this is again a revised part, that is the intrinsic muscles of a larynx. This is first one is the cricothyroid muscle. It is the only muscle which lies outside the larynx. It is also called as a tuning fork of a larynx. Okay. Then posterior cricoarytenoid, it is a safety muscle of a larynx. Okay. Then this muscle is present externally, and this one only supplied by this external laryngeal nerve. Then this is a lateral cricoarytenoid, which will be again arising from this cricoid cartilage and going towards this arytenoid cartilage. It will main adductor of a vocal fold. This is the abductor of vocal fold. This one is the tensor of vocal cords, and this is also adductor of a vocal cord, that is the transversus arytenoides. Oblique arytenoid and epiglotticus, that will closes the inlet of larynx. Then thyroarytenoid and thyroepiglotticus, that will relaxes this vocal fold, and lastly the vocalis muscle. Lastly, these are the muscles and actions of these muscles of larynx. Elevation of larynx by thyroid and mylohyoid. Depression of larynx, that is sternothyroid and sternohyoid. Then opening of larynx, thyroepiglottic. Closing of larynx, ariepiglottic. Adductor of vocal folds, posterior cricoarytenoid only. Adductor of vocal fold, lateral cricoarytenoid as well as transverse arytenoid and oblique arytenoid. Then tensor of vocal cords, cricothyroid, and relaxer of vocal cord, that is the thyroarytenoid and vocalis. So this is all about this larynx. Just read it, prepare MCQs as well as long question over this larynx. Yes. Any doubt you can ask me. Thank you.